Today we're going to be talking about the pursuit of happiness and how different age groups deal with outside stressors in order to achieve happiness. We decided to dig deeper and look into stress in all different stages of life to see how other ages manage their stress and what we as teenagers can do to alleviate some of our stress.
We decided to start off our research into stress with the youngest generation, focusing mainly on elementary school-aged children and younger. We also interviewed multiple kids to evaluate their levels of happiness and to see if they are aware of what has been plaguing our generation of young adults: stress.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
A scientist.
Why?
Because then I get to study the sky and lizards and more animals.
Do you know what the definition of stress is?
No.
Do you know what stress is?
When you get mad?
Do you think that old people are very stressed out? And why?
Probably.
Why would they be stressed out?
Because, well, when they were probably little, they've done a lot of work. And now they're old, so they probably don't do anything.
So they're not stressed out?
No.
You deal with kids on a daily basis. What makes them the happiest?
What makes children the happiest?
Yes.
When they get to play and run and do activities. Basically, anything that allows them to be active to get their energy out, that definitely makes them the happiest, I would say.
How do you feel after working with kids all day?
Sometimes it can be a bit stressful because the constant noise and just the constant moving around. But for the most part, I enjoy working with kids. I think that they're very bright. I think that they teach me a lot about patience and a lot about learning through play. So overall, I feel really good about going home knowing that I've worked with kids throughout the entire day.
Do you think your outlook on life has changed at all ever since you started working around kids?
I think it has. It definitely has given me a lot of thought as to the kind of parent I want to be. It makes me think about the kinds of things, the kinds of practices that parents do currently for their kids, and it just makes me question about what kind of a parent I'll be in the future.
Once we completed all of our interviews that had to do with little kids, we noticed a major trend. Most children had seemed to have a carefree and free-spirited attitude that uplifted others. Even our group members seemed happier after interviewing the children. On the other hand, according to the Harris poll conducted in 2013, only 1/3 of the 3,000 U.S. adults surveyed reported they were happy and content with their lives, which is actually 35% lower than the number of adults who said they were happy and content with their lives in 2011. Happiness is on a downward trend, and something must be done to regain this pursuit of happiness.
How do you balance work and school?
I just don't take as many hours at work, and so I have time for my schoolwork when I get home.
Where does most of your stress come from?
School, because work isn't stressful at all, so I don't really do anything, but yeah, the schoolwork.
Whenever you have free time, what is the first thing you do and why?
I hang out with friends, so I have to balance friends, school, and work all together.
Why do you think stress is most prevalent in the teenage years besides the obvious reasons?
I think really the stress has changed in the last 10 or 15 years. I think that your generation is growing up in a world that nobody else has grown up in before. I think technology and social media is probably one of the biggest things with it because you all can't get away from it. When you go home, your problems are right there with you in your pocket or on your bed with your phone. Whereas when I grew up and I went home from school, I didn't have to deal with any of it. I was in a sacred place at my own individual house where I could get away from everything, but your generation doesn't have that opportunity anymore. So I think that's really the biggest thing in dealing with the adolescence and stress, and also educating the parents to let them understand this is the reality that your kids are living in, and you need to help them with it. Because many parents just think that, oh, it's like the old days. Well, they can just turn their phone off or just, put it away. But that's that's not as realistic as they think it is.
What advice would you give a teenager who is going through difficulties and not seeing the bright side of things?
I think really, again, it goes back to figuring out what is it that you're passionate about. What is it that you feel is your purpose in life and pursuing that.
As one progresses through life, this innocence begins to deteriorate as society becomes so caught up in the rushed, materialistic, individualized culture we are familiar with today. Something happens though, as one enters into the final stages of life. That childlike innocence is restored and accompanied with the life's worth of wisdom, and just as an infant is dependent on a caretaker, the elder becomes dependent. Life comes full circle.
Do you feel happier now that you have experienced life, or do you think you were happier as a kid?
I'm happy now. I think you reach a mature age, you tend to be grateful and can't take health for granted. So you enjoy and cherish every day. In a sense, we are so vulnerable in a sense, so try to enjoy grandchildren, wine, and establish a good friendship,
Do you believe in regrets? Why or why not?
Regrets? There's always some regrets as you get older, because it's second guessing. So, I shouldn't have done that, but you have to try. You learn, and that you become wise, but a choice has already been made. You have a privilege of making choices. Some regrets, and some turn out good. Some will be told, but I did that.
If you could go back to one happy day in your childhood, what day would that be?
Finally embarking for America. It changed my life in a sense. But I love my country. Italy was my birthplace, but it was a new beginning, a new life.
What's the secret to a happy life?
Secret to happy? Being good to people and treat people like you want to be treated yourself. And so it's a mutual thing. Respect is mutual.
You work with elderly. What do they stress out about the most?
Well, this is a facility that has people that have dementia, which means they forget things all the time. So their main thing that they stress about all the time is not knowing where they are, where their family members are, just day-to-day things that they stress about that we have to remind them over all the time.
What do you think makes them the happiest?
That makes them the happiest is knowing that they have someone here that cares for them, because a lot of them, their family can't come as much as they would like to, so us being here for them and being their family members, that what makes them happy the most here.
In your opinion, what do you think is the biggest difference in what younger ages and elderly stress over?
Since I'm young myself also, I know I stress about just the smallest things, oh, am I going to be able to go out, or oh, am I going to do this, but they stress more over things that day-to-day matter, like their health and their family. We gotta do better about what we stress about, you guys.
After interviewing multiple people of different ages and backgrounds, it became quite evident that stress predominantly presents itself in young adults. However, our interviews that range from children as young as 6 to adults well into their retirement show that stress is merely a small portion of life, and that the important things in life, such as family and friends, will prevail soon enough. It is important to keep in mind that balancing family life as well as school life will keep young adults sane and get them through the difficult times in life. Therefore, continue to do what makes you happy and surround yourself with the people who stress you out the least. This is how you stay on track for your pursuit of happiness.